everybody. So we are so excited. We are here to talk about the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery. That is the mid-season one premiere last on Sunday. And it was called Despite Yourself, episode 10. And my friend Tom is here to talk about it.
Hi.
Yeah, so let's talk about just some overall thoughts before we dive into it. What was your overall response to this episode?
Well, maybe we better say, if you haven't watched the episode,
Oh, yes.
you're going to want to watch the episode.
Yes.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Because there's no way to avoid deeply spoiling the episode if you haven't seen it yet. There's they pulled the trigger, and they're doing the ultimate fan service thing we've all kind of been suspecting they would do, and that's the mirror universe. What do you know about the mirror universe, Rachel?
Well, I have seen Mirror Mirror, and so it's just kind of like a I don't know, I can't think of any other word, but like a sort of a dark side version of their current reality. It's
Right.
like the
Right. It's where the Star Trek is known for its optimistic vision of the future. The mirror universe takes all that, turns it on its head, and says, "What if we don't choose that? What if we choose something very different than this open, enlightened Federation? And what if we choose instead a domineering, paranoid, rabid empire, which we could easily do, given the history of the 20th century." In space, instead of this, sort of this open, enlightened Federation. Well, the mirror universe attempts to answer that question. So the crew find themselves there, and as far as they know, no one has ever passed through to that other side before. Now, the crucial decision, the one thing that makes this a parallel universe that makes it different is goes back to the beginning of this history of Star Trek, like the history of the Star Trek universe, where there was a man named Zefram Cochrane who invented the warp drive. Right, that's what the Enterprise runs on. That's what every Star Trek ship has ever run on, is this faster than light engine, so that you can travel the stars and get to other planets in a matter of weeks instead of decades.
Don't they meet him in one of the movies? Isn't that the Cromwell character?
Yeah. That's right. And if you remember, in that, after his flight, the Vulcans show up saying, "Live long and prosper." And he reaches out a hand and says, "Thanks." And in the mirror universe, that didn't happen. Instead, he reached out a hand, and it had a shotgun in it. And he blew the Vulcan's head off, and they took over the ship. And stole Vulcan technology and developed their own thing, and basically took over the galaxy with sheer brute force. And that was the difference. That's what changed everything. So everything is the same up to that point, where Zefram Cochrane decides how to greet his Vulcan, the new Vulcan visitors.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting, because that is about, how do we greet the unknown? Do we give it a fair shot, or do we just shoot it down? And how does that determine what will be thereafter, and how we'll continue to treat the unknown?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all very interesting, and that's what we're getting into with this episode.
Mm. So this is pretty exciting for Star Trek fans. Then this is something people have been wanting to see, this mirror universe.
Yeah, now the thing is, with the mirror universe and the way it's been treated, I've kind of gotten tired of it myself. Like its charm is worn off. Like it's the character, but they're bad. It's the bad version of them. Yeah, I get it. Like that stopped being interesting for me relatively quickly. And I was a little nervous about Discovery doing that, because I thought, oh boy, they're just retreading old territory. But the circumstances that they find themselves in passing over to the mirror universe are interesting, because it's not one character or a small set of characters trying to make their way in the mirror universe, which is typically what they've done in other shows. they've got the entire crew confronting this reality. They're all in the same boat, literally and figuratively. They're all having to try to figure this out. And in fact, in this episode, they only actually talk to one or two natives in the mirror universe and only meet a few. Most of the time, it's them coping with, oh crap, what do we do now?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I need a little bit like talking off the ledge a little bit for me with this episode because I did not respond well to it. I really didn't like it. And it's easy to say, oh, well, like here I'm Mrs. Hallmark movie, so I like things that are usually positive and happy and
Yeah.
But it's not about that. It's not about it being it honestly isn't about it being dark. It's that it felt joyless to me, and that's different. There's things that are dark that still are hopeful, and it just felt unrelentingly joyless to me. And that's something that Star Trek has never been in all of the things I've ever seen with Star Trek. And it felt like a pylon, and it reminded me of kind of how I felt about Batman v Superman, in the sense that like it was just some things that were supposed to be hopeful, like Superman, were very joyless. And it just kept piling it on and on and on. And I just felt kind of ugh after I finished watching it. And I was really pretty discouraged after I saw it. And I don't know, I feel, I know it's a strong reaction, but I'm being honest, that's really how I felt. And I just felt like, did we have to have every character, including Tilly, become, dark and become hopeless? And, like we have murder and sexual perversion, and we have, anyway, we'll get into the details, but like, it just felt like a pylon to me, and I really didn't like it. But let's kind of dive into it, and hopefully this is just the beginning, that it will, that it'll grow, and this is just sort of the dark place to start. But I kind of worry that they took the feedback from the first part, the people who didn't like it, and I'm worried that they made the wrong choices, and that they I don't know. That
Well, I don't think the turnover. I will challenge that to some extent, because I don't think the turnover allows for that. I remember on After Trek, after like episode 2 had aired, they said they had just finished filming the season finale.
okay.
So I don't think there's any fan feedback here other than within, internally, affecting their choices here.
Mm-hmm. So, well, let's talk about some of the different characters. So we have this dark, they've obviously had this spore jump where they don't know where they are. And they figure out that there's the ship in kind of pieces that's sort of surrounding them. And it turns out that they end up getting under attack by this Vulcan ship.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're trying to figure out kind of everything that's happening. And so they find out that there is this what's it called, the Terran
Empire.
Terran Empire. What do you think about this Terran Empire? Can you
do you want me to give some facts or give you my reaction?
Both.
Okay, well, some facts about it. They're basically ancient Roman space in many ways, or Nazis in space. You've got the salutes. You've got, although it's much less. It's like Nazis, but they follow a faceless emperor. So there's not. I don't get the sense that there's a cult of personality at work. It's simply just they worship power. And I like that this episode highlighted the element in the Empire of fear. That the way you move up the ranks in the Empire is by killing your superiors. that means that no matter where you are, no matter where you're at in the hierarchy, unless you're at the bottom, which you don't want to be, but if you're anywhere on the hierarchy, someone's gunning for you. You always need to be afraid. You always need to be worried about who to suck up to move up, and who to distrust on who's under you, who may turn on you, no matter how friendly they may seem. So it's a completely dysfunctional society in that sense. There's no trust. Everything is based on fear. And actually, I think it is a bit unrealistic in the sense that I'm not so sure they could achieve this much just running on fear. To that degree.
Interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely horrible, and you'd like to think that you wouldn't. And actually, what I do like about this as an exercise is it's saying, if you were in Germany in the 1930s, what would you do? What would you have done?
Mm-hmm.
And Star Trek answers that question with, you would have Sieg-Heiled. And you know what? I think that's the right answer.
You would have what?
Sieg-Heiled. You would have been right on board. And I think for most of us, that's the right answer. Under the right circumstances, I think we're all waiting for our orders to destroy each other. There's at least a piece of us that is vindictive and ugly and cynical and nasty. And if we give it power, and if the right circumstances give it power, that's it. Yeah.
But isn't that not Star Trek to me? Like, Star Trek to me has always been I'm no expert, but it's always been about basically forming this space utopia. Like, at its core, like this. You don't think?
Ahead. Yeah, it is. No, yeah, it is. You're right. Star Trek is about forming a space utopia, but the problem is that that impulse can be really frightening. You want to scare me with somebody, show me a utopian.
Mm-hmm.
It's actual utopias, and I think the United States is probably the closest thing the world will ever see to anything like a utopia.
Mm-hmm.
So far.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't formed by fanatics committed to a glowy, sunny vision. It was formed by people who understood how badly things could go, and put in all kinds of checks and balances and all kinds of restraints and constraints to make sure things didn't go bad, and to allow for human failing and human error and bad decision making, and someone having a bad day and turning the whole table over and ruining it for everybody else. And so
it's interesting.
I think you're right. You really want to build a utopia, you don't do it naively. You don't go into it thinking everybody's going to be on their best behavior, because they won't be.
Mm-hmm. Is it a little heavy-handed, though, to have like the most bright and positive kind of member of the crew become the like kind of evil captain? Is that a little much? No,
I think it's interesting because she does have this ambition, right? She does have this ambition to be a captain, but you also worry about her a little bit. And why do you think that is? Why do we wonder whether she'll actually reach her ambition?
Mm-hmm. Because
I think it's because go ahead.
Because of her fear would stop her.
Right. Yeah. That she's kind of reluctant to, I think what she's afraid of is being Captain Killy. I think she's afraid of her own ambition. And I think that we all are to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want power because we know we would become the tyrant. And here, I think the characters are going to have tremendous room to grow, especially Tilly, because they're going to see their dark sides and survive. They're going to look themselves in the eye, their darkness in the eye, and walk and come away from it knowing that they're fine.
Interesting. Yeah. So they will get to kind of see the dark version of themselves in upcoming episodes, you think? I mean, they already, I guess, maybe have a little bit, but yeah, that would be interesting. I that's what I'm hopeful for, is that we'll get some of that, like, kind of we'll get some really strong redemption arcs, and we'll get some really strong so I'm trying to keep things in perspective. It was just There's just a lot for one episode. And you've got you've got Lorca getting tortured by the end. You've got, we'll go into kind of some other stuff, but it was a lot for one episode for me.
No, it is heavy, and this is why I tend to tire of the Mirror Universe episodes, partly because I have the same feeling you do. I get kind of sick to my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel good when I'm watching them, but it redeems itself if it comes out to something Trekky. If it comes out to a pot where Star Trek telling a worthwhile story about us and who we are and what we can survive and not and all that. And I think I trust the writers that they're going there. And in fact, I think it's so beautifully, as I think about each of the characters and how they're confronting their dark selves, the more I see, that's exactly what they're doing. And you look at on the inverse of Tilly, which is Lorca, right, where he's used to being in charge. He's the briskly striding, walking away from the explosion captain, super confident warrior, except that he keeps a gun under his pillow, and actually has some serious problems. But now he finds himself in the position of being a victim of tyranny, someone's whims or their warlike decision to, screw you, I've got a war to win mentality.
So how permanent do you think the things that happen in this parallel universe are? That because we'll talk about what happens to Stamets, but do you think that this is some kind of, I don't know, alternate timeline that like things won't be? I don't know if that makes sense.
Because we lost a character. Right. Doctor, what's his first name or his last name? It starts with a C. Culber. Okay. So Dr. Culber dies, and he's been presented to us as a stable character, like he's a major character. And
I mean, that was shocking. Both, and we'll talk about Ash in a second, but that was shocking both for what happened, but also for who did it. Of course, was shocking.
It was. I was watching it with my wife, and I said, I audibly gasped and said, "He's gone. He's dead." I had to process it for a second. Like, no, they just did that.
And it's shocking. I mean, not only it's shocking for a lot of reasons. It's shocking with how it wasn't like it was some kind of beautiful death, if that makes sense, with him giving his last words. It was just
snuffed. It
was just, and also kind of shocking that they would do that that they would have both of the LGBTQ characters kind of incapacitated / dead this midway into the season. That was surprising to me. I'm just surprised on a sort of publicity kind of, I don't know, that they would do that. And it was surprising for Ash. I guess we should just go ahead and just talk about Ash, because we talked about in the last episode about how it was a good thing that he was portraying this character with PTSD from what had happened with the Klingon, and that it was an abuse survivor, basically. And
sexual abuse survivor.
Yes, a sexual abuse survivor. And now they basically are kind of bringing up this idea that his body had been significantly changed by the Klingons. We see that his bones, his body, that it may not even really be him exactly.
It's fascinating what they've teased us with, and I could see a lot of zipped lips on After Trek as they tried hard not to
spoil.
Not to spoil things because So what they've definitely they've made it clear that his body has been significantly altered. Like, they've changed his height. There's scar tissue all over his organs, and that his personality may be an overlay. It may not be his actual personality.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I don't know. Like, again, I felt like I needed one character to kind of lean on in this episode, or feel like I was kind of, after feeling like really positive about him, like it was sort of shocking for him to all of a sudden he's maybe not even who we think he is, and he's like pretty brutally murdering this somewhat beloved character. It was pretty shocking.
Yeah, no,
But
that's a good point. No one to lean on. I think that's probably exactly the feeling they were hoping to give us. Is that no, we're on our own.
yeah,
They're on their own. We're on our own. Even Michael Burnham is rattled because she's had to, kill a friend again. Only
yeah.
the version,
And I forget that character's name, but yeah, he was somebody on the original ship.
Yeah, he'd been in the
Giorgio.
Shenzhou. Yeah, he'd been on the Shenzhou, and Michael was responsible for his death in her universe, and had to be responsible for it in the next one too. So, yeah, that the acting and you can't argue the fight sequence in the Turbolift was outstanding.
Yeah,
you just cinema grade. I kind of by that aspect of it. By the way, I'm enjoying Star Trek's return to good old-fashioned fisticuffs. That was something that was more prominent in the original series than in the later shows, and it's kind of fun to see it back.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really well made. You can't argue with that for sure. And really, I mean, the acting is really good. And so, yeah, no, that's true. And it's interesting to see Burnham just process all of this. She, like anybody, she struggles. And it's interesting to see all of them kind of. You see Lorca kind of trying to figure out how to be humble, but
yeah, and take orders and
help
captain, and he's a pragmatic dude. He knows that he's not chafing against it, but I think he's that last look of the show where he's in that torture chamber, and it's clear that things are not going the way this decision is not going the way he expected.
So does I don't know. So is L'Rell, she was unleashed from the prison, right? From the cell?
Well, they were beaming off that ship, and she grabbed onto them. So she they were in the cell. They found their way to the cell they were freeing other Federation prisoners, and that she was in there. And
because Ash pulls up the barrier to her, right, when they're talking.
Oh,
in
yeah.
The cell.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. We're getting confused. I'm talking about on the Klingon ship. She was in the prison area, and then as they beamed off the Klingon ship, she grabbed onto them and found herself aboard the Discovery, and they made
right.
Yeah. Okay. So then she's kind of in his head somehow or other. And she tries to trigger him with the Winter Soldier kind of thing, and he has a moment where it doesn't quite do what she expects. Something goes sideways, and he doesn't do what the programming apparently was supposed to get him to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, because he says, "I'm not myself." He kind of snaps out of it.
Yeah.
But he's not. I don't know if he's 100% out of it, but she's still in the cell. Then I couldn't tell if they had. I don't know. I was a little bit confused on that.
Yeah, no, she's still in the cell.
Okay.
But she's not running loose on the ship. But he did open it for a minute and then closed her back in.
Okay.
He's kind of not too sure of himself and what he's supposed to be doing or who he is.
Yeah, because he's like very rattled by this, of course, by this experience, and so he goes to the sick bay and he asks Culber to do these basically like a an MRI kind of a thing on him.
Yeah.
And that's when Culber says, like, you're not, when he figures out that he has all the scarring and this, these problems. And that's also when Stamets kind of wakes up and says, be careful, the enemy's here.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we get our naps, we get our neck snapping, shocking moment. And
yeah. And I don't think he remembers. Like there was a scene after that where someone was like, well, where have you been? And he is missing time. He's like, I'm not sure. He's like, I'm not sure how I got here.
Yeah.
So I don't think he remembers killing Culber. But
yeah, I think he's like maybe not half and half, but like 80-20. Like he's still a little bit under that control.
With that ratio.
And I felt like even you could kind of tell from the ending when he's with Burnham, like he's just not completely himself.
Mm-hmm.
You can just tell.
Yeah, exactly. What's weird is that like I felt like, oh, am I going to be eating everything I said about, oh, what a cool character, he's been through sexual abuse, he's definitely not a Klingon spy. I'm eating all that to some extent, but no, not really. Like if he genuinely thinks he is who he claims to be, or thinks he is who he claims to be, then he's feeling abused, right? He's feeling traumatized.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it could have been more interesting to have him be sort of a wounded survivor kind of character. And like, I don't feel like they had to make every character kind of suspect. And I always like having one hero that you can kind of be fully behind, that you're that's your character, that you're Luke Skywalker, or Harry Potter, or that, that you're, I don't know, that is your sort of moral center.
Burnham isn't doing that for you?
Burnham? Well,
not saying she has
I guess we didn't get a ton of her in this one, so maybe that was part of it. Maybe that's part of it, is we really, this was more of an episode on the other characters, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, no, that's true. There was a lot of focus on everybody else. And also and also that, what they were doing here, they dropped a huge fan service bomb on us, really. I mean, leave aside that the episode is directed by Jonathan Frakes, who played Commander Riker on Next Gen.
Yeah.
Leave aside the fact that it's the Mirror Universe, which all by itself is big, but we see a schematic of a Constitution class starship, which was the class of the Enterprise, the original Enterprise, and so we get the sense that these are contemporaries, and also a reference to not one but two episodes from other. Direct references to two episodes from two different Star Trek series.
Yeah.
To the original series, and then to the Tholian Web in the original series, and through a Mirror Darkly in Enterprise, which I recommend.
Okay.
Through a Mirror Darkly is interesting because it's an episode of Enterprise that actually takes place in the Mirror Universe.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard of that one. Okay. Yeah. So do you think that Stamets and Culber do you think we're going to see them again? Do you think that there's, I don't know, somehow, or do you think at least Culber do you think he's dead?
Well, on After Trek, they indicated that he was not, that we haven't seen the last one, but I don't know if that means he gets better, or if it means that he'll be back in a flashback, or he'll be in a parallel reality, or with these kind of sci-fi things, death is very mutable. So, yeah, we'll see.
If they're able to jump back out of the Mirror Universe, do we know in Star Trek if everything will revert back to where it is?
Things do not revert. No,
okay.
Because it can impact the other. In the original series, Kirk inspires Spock to become a leader of a revolt, and in Deep Space Nine, the mirror episodes of Deep Space Nine, we see the results of that. And actually, in Deep Space Nine, when they cover the Mirror Universe, the Terran Empire is fallen. and humans are the alien trash of the galaxy. If you're a Terran, you're wearing a badge that looks like the planet Earth, and you're in a jumpsuit, and you're in a work camp somewhere, getting spit on by Klingons and Cardassians and Vulcans.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. That's for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, they can impact each other, and I'm really curious to see where they go with this. And they've teased too the Emperor. Who is the Emperor? Because we got a definite sense that, like, no, we should care who the Emperor is.
Yeah. Well, and in this dark reality, not only is Tilly the Dark Captain, but also Burnham is as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's a Dark Captain as well. Yeah, and they're all going to be facing aspects of themselves that they do not like.
Yeah, and Lorca is seen as a traitor, and so that's why they put him in the torture chamber, whatever.
Yeah.
Which was hard, and so he was, screaming and yeah, there's even the "Long live Captain Burnham, long live the Empire."
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And what was funny about that is that, like, knowing this society and how they function, if the other guy had emerged from the turbo lift, they'd be doing the same thing. They had no particular loyalty to Burnham. They just have all they worship is power.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody did a good job playing that well. That sort of deer in the headlights look that everybody has on their faces at all times, that they're always trying to hide. Yeah, that was really interesting to see.
Yeah.
No, but I'm behind it. Like, these episodes make me uncomfortable too. But I'm going with them because I have confidence that the story they're going to try to tell is worth telling, and that it won't just be "and everything sucks" the end.
Yeah.
It won't be that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be optimistic, and I mean, I guess there's only 5 more episodes of this mid-season, which is kind of, I mean, wow, that's not very many for them to. I mean, they opened a huge can of worms for them to wrap up in only 5 up. I mean, not to wrap it up, but you know what I mean, like to have it.
Hey, on the other series, they've spent at most 2 episodes, in the Mirror universe. So, and in the Mirror, it's 1 episode. It's 50 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. But the character, it's not quite as dramatic
right.
as all this. So it's really interesting. I feel better even now, just after we've talked about it.
Good.
Because I was just like, oh, why did I agree to podcast about this show? Because I really didn't like this. But I committed, and I'm glad because I hope that they, I don't know, I just hope that they don't try to provide some kind of cautionary tale, you know what I mean? Like, of like people who see our current, situation in our country or whatever as some kind of apocalypse, whatever. And I hope that they don't do that. I hope that they keep that optimism in the end. Like, I'm fine if there's some episodes, but if this is not, like I said, some kind of cautionary tale of like where tyranny can lead you or something, like in the dark side, I would not be a big fan of that. I want to see some redemption. I want to see some, this is in the end thoughtful entertainment.
Yeah, no, exactly. I don't think you're going to get a Twilight Zone ironic ending where everything is, or Black Mirror kind of ending where everything is just dark and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not Star Trek. That's not how it's going to play out. Now, it may be disturbing what these characters go through and what you see, but like, yeah, in the end, the message is you have a choice, but you need to understand you have 2 very clear and opposite choices, and it's not like, oh, well, obviously I'll be good. Well, no, it's going to be more complicated than that.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not be as easy as you think to just choose good.
Yeah, because it's true what you say. I mean, we all like to think we would be the person that would be standing up, for the Corey Ten Booms of the world, or
Right.
that we like to think that we would be that person, but uh, obviously, it's just, a lot of us wouldn't, and that's just a fact. And because it's tough. It's just really tough.
Well, it is,
And
and we're terrible. And why is it? Guys ask why do girls always for the bad boy? Well, because women sense that a man who's in touch with his more aggressive tendencies and has at least contact with his darker self, manage that darker self. The nice guys, the Ned Flanderses of this world, those are the guys you have to worry about. Those are the guys who are going to snap like a dry twig and take out a post office because they don't understand how bad they are. They don't understand how awful they are, and so it'll sneak up on them on an idle Tuesday, and suddenly they're a monster.
Yeah, it's true. People like Ted Bundy and stuff, nicest guys around.
Yeah.
People who didn't know, there's
The
a
guy
lot of
you can
truth to that.
trust is the guy who makes good decisions. He seems to be holding the world together pretty well, but he's also, maybe he gets in a bad mood sometimes, or maybe maybe he's not entirely thrilled or trusting with people at all times because he knows how bad things can get.
Interesting. Yeah, so it will be interesting to see what happens. And so there you go. This one, I mean, I really didn't enjoy watching it, so I would give it a low score, but it's hard because it's just a piece of this puzzle.
Yeah.
And I kind of have to wait to give my full score till I see what happens. And
right.
So but anyway, it'll be fun. We will get together and talk about the next episode next week. It will probably have to be later in the week because I'm going to be gone this whole weekend for a funeral. And so I won't get to watch it probably until like Tuesday of next week because I don't get back until Monday. So
right. Okay. No problem.
So anyway, we'll be in touch, and let us know in the comment section what you thought of the episode. If you've been a fan of the series or not been a fan, what you thought. And thanks so much for joining me talking about it. I really appreciate it.
It was good fun. Thank you.
Yeah. So where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter at El Mono Roboto. And also at Happy Place Poems, where I've been posting poetry inspired by Disneyland.
Awesome. I'll have the links down to that in the description section. Definitely check that out. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews on iTunes and YouTube, and also the Hallmarkies podcast. We are recording tonight, so there'll be an episode tomorrow, so that'll be really fun. And so lots of fun stuff going on, and thanks so much.